welcome to Quest Me, the Star Wars podcast that takes you on a quest through Legends and New Canon. My name is Josh, and I am your forever host, friend, and Night Trooper again, because that's what I'm going with for the rest of the season, is Night Trooper. I'm not going to pick anything else. Nope, Night Trooper is where it's at. My co-host, Justin, is finally back this week, and I'm so excited to have you back, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. I'm glad to be back. Shame at work. I can't help it. Calls drop. I gotta go. But
Yeah, no,
I'm here for the best next week. So I'm off from work on this wonderful day, and I'm excited to talk about Star Wars.
yeah, and you do get, the last two episodes are always the best two episodes. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will. But before we talk about any of that, we have to have our resident fact checker, Phil. How are you, sir? Residential? Are you
making sure I'm not on mute first?
There's always one.
Resident.
Resident. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, unless it's regarding housing.
Okay, fair.
Like
yeah.
RA?
I was one.
Of course you were.
No, Ricky and I both actually. No,
That's
no,
pretty
he was a conference assistant. We worked together during the summers, but I was an RA. Yes.
Jesus. Anyway, good to have you back, Phil.
Hi.
Super excited to talk about episode 7 of Ahsoka. Last week we had your good friend Aaron on to talk about episode 6.
Yes, we did.
If you guys didn't get a chance to hear that, definitely go back and listen to that episode because it was a lot of fun. There's always like memes that are birthed out of these episodes. So if you like follow us on TikTok or follow me on Facebook and you see those weird memes, they're usually created through this show, which is pretty fun, I think. So, wow, we're only 2 episodes away from the end. This is it. This is second to last.
So
episode.
so close.
And I couldn't think of any better guest to bring on than Mr. Hugh himself. How are you doing,
Hey, what's
dude?
up, guys?
Hugh.
I'm doing great.
Hey.
Back on the show.
Yeah.
Ready to talk some Star Wars.
Were you on for Kenobi? Did you come on for Kenobi?
I didn't come on for Kenobi. I came on.
We had him
for
on an Andor.
And I believe
And Mando.
Mandalorian.
Yep.
2 episodes of Mandalorian. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Andor.
That's right. Yeah, you've been around though.
Been around.
Yeah, and it's always,
always
good to have
fun with
back
you
on the
guys.
show. Hell yeah. What have you been up to lately?
Just trying to stay busy at work. Do a lot of sports reporting for the local paper here, and in my spare time, I get to play video games. Been loving all the offerings this year, and then of course we get to watch some Star Wars in our spare time. So there you go.
Yes. You're right. It has been a pretty good year for video games, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a lot of good things coming out. Did the new Mortal Kombat drop already?
One.
Yeah, I did. Just don't buy it for the Switch. I hear the graphics.
Oh, no. I made that mistake with 11. I'll never do that again. That was so
It has
dumb.
led to some absolutely hilarious memes, though.
Oh, the memes are dank.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love my Switch, but
that's not worth $70.
I would
My
not
Switch
have dropped.
is usually around me at all times. I also love my Switch.
I got like 200 some odd hours into Tears of the Kingdom already, so
That's
yeah, same.
yeah.
Same.
Wow.
yeah.
But yeah,
no,
I was thinking about getting the Mortal Kombat game with a PS5 because that's what you do, right? You get a nice fighting game, nice family
On
game,
the new console.
nice shooting game, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's great to have you back, Hugh. I am like beyond stoked to talk about this episode for sure. There was a lot that happened, I feel like, and before we get too far into it, we have to go to a bar far away. If you noticed in my camera, I have mood lighting this week. Actually, the only light that I have on is my computer and my ring light because I wanted everyone to see my fun little lights in the background.
we got the Millennium Falcon Invader.
Yeah. Yep.
Where's
exactly.
the Death Star I gave you?
The Death Star burned out, man. The light doesn't work.
No!
I still have it. trust, I still have it. It's around.
That was cool.
But the light burned out on it. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm in the mood for hearing what we're drinking tonight, Phil. So take it away.
All right. So I was looking at the name of this episode. This chapter of Ahsoka is Dreams and Madness. So I did some digging and found an old cocktail, not like super old, but an older cocktail called a Dream. And it is cognac, orange curacao, absinthe, and rich simple syrup, and occasionally an egg white. So
Always the weird things with you, man.
okay,
Egg
so
white?
egg
Mix
white.
flippy.
You toss egg white in with anything like a whiskey sour or an amaretto sour, and it gives a foamy kind of creamy quality to the cocktail. Usually optional, but So I decided to make a Thrawn Dream.
Ooh.
So
Mm.
this, you can't see quite how blue that is. The lighting here is a little wibbly.
Put it up there. Is it blue? Put it up there again.
It
It's
is
green.
mostly blue.
It's okay. All right. I guess.
But so that is cognac and blue curacao. And I used Demerara syrup instead of a rich simple syrup, just because I like the quality of the Demerara syrup better for most everything, honestly. And instead of the absinthe, like a dash of absinthe, I used blackcurrant balsam, which is a Latvian liqueur that I've talked about on here before. So I did 2 different iterations of this, though. So there's this one without the egg white, and this
Let's see
one
this
with.
Oh, that one's a little bluer.
I see
So
it now.
Like
it looks blue. It looks more blue because it has that white, the contrast of that white foam layer on top.
oh, okay.
Yeah, here, hang on.
Interesting. Phil's going hard tonight. He's got 2 cocktails over there, not just one. But
I usually
2.
make at least 2 of the one that I make.
You're right. I know.
Or like we did for that episode of Mando, we had the fish gin martini.
I think I was there for that one.
Yeah, you were.
Oh yeah.
For
We keep bringing that up, and it keeps. I don't know.
because that has become a running joke with me and my wife, just talking about random stuff like with cocktails, and then at some point just throw in, we still have some of that fish gin. So this though, this is
Ricky
very
says-
sweet.
Eggs are for scrambling.
Damn
This
right,
is-
Ricky.
Ricky. I'm
This
with
is
you.
very sweet. It ends up with almost a minty kind of quality to it. Tastes a little bit like a grasshopper.
Yeah.
So if you've ever had creme de menthe and cream, basically. So it's a very good dessert drink, though. A
Okay.
little bit of bitter on the back end of it because I use the curacao instead of like a triple sec or a sweeter orange liqueur.
Sure.
But it's also very similar to the Grogu's Pod sidecar riff that I did a while back for Mando season 3.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
That one was good too.
yeah. So kind of some similar qualities there to the sidecar. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Delicious
the
as
full
always.
recipe,
What?
the full recipe is going to be in our show notes. But as always, please drink responsibly.
Yep. And Phil is participating in the Peaks and Pours competition, so I'll have the link to the tickets there if you'd like to try one of Phil's ridiculously extravagant drinks.
I want to go to this.
Amazing, man.
You don't
always kill them.
you don't get to try them this time though. This is
Oh,
only
you don't?
I'm not making batches for the
Mm,
audience this time.
oh.
Because this one's going to be like Iron Chef style, where we have a secret ingredient that we're not actually presented with until like right before the competition.
Oh.
There you go.
So
Right. Okay. I remember you saying
Pores,
that. Yep.
Peaks and Pores. It's going to be on Cimarron downtown here in Colorado Springs. And it is actually a big fundraiser for the Mount Carmel Veterans Service Center here in Colorado Springs as well. So
Awesome.
if you like whiskey, you like cigars, you want to see me compete in a bartender competition against people who actually do this for a living,
Hell yeah.
come on down. It'll be fun.
Please don't tell me it's in sober October.
Yeah.
Define.
Oh, it's in October.
It
I
is
don't
in
drink.
October.
I don't drink.
Yeah, there's going to be stuff for people who don't drink too. There's going to be cigars and things too. So
Is it
if you're not working that
okay?
day-
Is it okay to swish and spit?
Oh my god.
You'll take that up with the festival organizers, not with me.
Man,
That's above my pay grade.
that's hilarious.
Lord.
I'm just drinking a Mike's Harder lemonade because
Oh, Hugh, we need them to make
know.
that we need them to start selling the hard Mountain Dew in Colorado.
I've had some of that. It's not bad.
Code
Yeah.
Red? Baja Blast?
The Code Red one, and I think I had the Baja Blast one. It's all right. It's not bad.
Oh, we gotta talk about this later.
Yeah.
You've been holding out on me.
So
man.
exciting.
have you seen the Monster drinks too? The Monster Energy booze
Oh
drinks?
God. Ew. Ew.
Yep. Yep. I made
Those
them
things will
actually
give you a
local.
all
stroke.
over again.
Yeah. Well, anyway, awesome drink, Phil, as always.
Thank you.
I love hearing all of your drinks, and that's why we have continued to go to a bar far away for like a year now. It's been great. It's been a good time. So
Been a few seasons.
let's move on. Yeah, at least 2.5 probably.
Yeah.
But
Think three.
I already have a cocktail planned, by the way, for when we do our last Thrawn book club session.
oh yeah, yep.
Yeah,
Which will
I-
probably be in November.
Yep.
So
So
Yeah,
I'll have
so
some.
let's,
I've already got something lined up.
perfect. You have to let me know what it is so I can make it too. And
Oh yeah, no,
participate.
absolutely.
But let's go on to episode 7, Dreams and Madness from Ahsoka.
Synopsis.
I did write a synopsis. It's not very,
Yeah.
you know, the last couple have been a little more chirpy. This one's just a little more factual. With 2 episodes left in Ahsoka, everything is coming to a head. Thrawn is back in the battle chair as he tries to find a way to defeat the titular character and her friends. Ezra and Sabine are in another impossible situation, and the New Republic is starting to come around to the thought of Thrawn's return. This episode was directed by Geeta Vasant Patel, who also did Sense8, if you ever watched that show. Really cool show. Really trippy.
Ridiculously creative project from the Wachowskis.
Yes,
they
really cool.
absolutely killed it. It's
It's
it
good.
was
It's
one
on
of the
Netflix.
best. It was one of the best original pieces that Netflix has ever actually produced. So
Agreed.
It's a
and they should have just
Netflix
left it at 1
original?
season.
yeah,
Yep.
Did it go 3 seasons and get canceled?
2, I believe.
2,
actually.
yeah. But it's really only worth the first season. The second one was, I don't know, man. I don't know. I like
It dropped off a little bit, but you know,
Yeah, it
it's-
was like Heroes season 1 compared to Heroes season 2.
Yeah, that was almost exactly
Quite the drop off.
Ouch.
exactly the comparison I was going to make.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
No, but
ow.
it's worth watching the first season at least.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Episode, I guess the whole series was written by Dave Filoni. Of course, it stars Rosario Dawson, Natasha Liu Bordizzo, Aman Esfandi, and of course Lars Mikkelsen. And then we get Hera and all them in this episode as well.
And
So-
your boy,
so-
yes.
We got 3PO.
the way you describe it is more exciting when the episode was for me.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Justin was not a fan of this
No.
episode.
Not really.
Oh.
It was boring. It felt meh.
Boring?
Boring.
What the? Okay, well, let's talk about this first scene here where they're in the courts. I was not bored during this scene. Not even one little bit. I thought this first scene was quite awesome, to be honest with you. We
I
We,
picked one of my shots over it.
yeah, okay, there you go. We get an actual timeline placement. Like that's huge. in this court scene, we get, Teva stands up and goes, "What about the confrontation on Mandalore?" And then Xiono talks about how Gideon. It's like season 3. It's after Mandalorian season 3.
I
So we
don't
finally
know.
have a timeline placement.
Right.
I don't know about you, but when I finally confirmed the timeline, I was like, "Fucking finally! We all
Yes.
know when."
Yes,
No
it
more
was
debate.
nice to get that.
No
Yep.
more
And it
debate.
seems pretty close. Like I didn't know it was that close. Like I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's nice to have that.
Not a clue.
We've been talking about it the whole season.
Yeah.
Basically trying to figure
There's
out where it
been-
was put. So
It's been a point of contention for a lot of the season so
Right.
far.
Yeah.
Like, when?
What is this?
But we also get like Xiono, like he's such a prick, and like we
He's
have
such an
someone,
asshole.
we have someone to hate now and like to root against. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then, I mean, dude, C-3PO shows up.
Yeah, 3PO.
Like,
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. How are you gonna say this episode is boring when C-3PO shows up in the first 10 minutes?
So I gotta say,
I hate C-3PO.
That's
I
worse
love
than
how
being a
they're.
droid.
I love how
Chopper
they're
and R2
including
all
Leia.
day.
R2 is the goat.
I love how they're still including Leia as an active character. I miss Carrie
Yes.
Fisher.
And I kind of wonder.
I miss Space Mom.
I am
what would
glad
you
they
think-
did not. Oh, good.
Well, I was gonna say, what would you think if they recast Leia and instead of 3PO showing
No.
up, it was a new
No.
actor for Leia?
No.
It-
rather
we're
see a
already
hologram.
getting we're already getting into weird territory with the digitally
Yeah.
like the masked
Mhm.
Luke actor
Yep.
in Mando and Book of Boba Fett. It's still a little weird.
But what about just a
but the
complete recast?
difference, the difference there is actor being alive to kind of give his consent to it versus actor not being alive. And I would prefer that they, don't do that to Carrie Fisher.
But
I
that's
agree
if you have ethics.
Which we know Disney does not.
Exactly.
But the creators of these shows definitely do. So it makes sense. I mean, even if you got permission from Billie Lourd, her daughter,
that would be like the
Mm.
only way I would consider it. If Billie Lourd signed off on it and said,
or
okay,
even if Billie Lourd played her, they have the exact same eyes. Like all you'd have to do is, maneuver some facial features with the digital stuff. Like
Yeah.
I feel like she could do it.
I mean,
Did
but
they
it wasn't
drop it?
broken, so like, why fix it? Like, I
Yeah.
enjoyed seeing
I-
3PO. Like, the
that's
moment
the
he said
thing.
IMC, I'm like, 3PO! Like,
no,
human
it's just like
cyborg relations.
Anthony
I'm like, yeah.
Daniels, you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was
and
a great treat.
That's another question. Do you think that was actually Anthony Daniels in the suit?
Oh,
No.
I don't know about
It
it.
can't be.
But it was definitely him doing the voice.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
yes. But
yeah,
in the suit, though-
Whether or not they had him back in the suit, that's a good question.
He's an old man. He can't be walking that stick. Well,
you get
old people have curved backs.
maybe it straightened it out for him a little bit.
It's an orthopedic
Um,
device.
It's a minor cameo. Like, I don't think you got to go and, call, Carrie Fisher's daughter. I think they handled it well just by having 3PO essentially relay the message from Leia and shutting down the Senator Xiono. Like, that worked out perfectly.
Basically,
I thought
like
it was
slapping
real well
him
done.
and
Yeah.
telling him to shut the F up.
right.
Like, and in the best way 3PO could do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like his little pause before, he says, he's like, and Xiono denied it in a special whatever
the
without me."
mention,
Like,
the mention of her title as like head
Right.
of the defense council was just like,
Yeah. So, and you're right. It was perfect the way that
Right.
it was. I just was curious about if they were to recast Leia and have her go out there, I wonder how people would react. And it seems like it would be a resounding no. So,
Is there a difference compared to like
so-
her doing her voice? Like digitally enhancing and mocking, or not mocking, but faking her voice?
it starts for me. That starts getting too kind of toward the trend of just, maintaining or replacing the actors with digital copies, and that, seems very counter to the spirit of, the actual process.
Sure.
I don't know.
It's understandable.
Actually,
fair.
I
Very
did find Anthony Daniels confirmed that he was in the suit.
He was.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was
That's
he
good
was
to know.
on set.
Good for him.
They were using the volume for that scene, for the courtroom scene.
Interesting.
Which is impressive considering how many people we had
Yeah.
in that whole
So-
sequence.
Yeah. So they.
But-
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really good.
yeah.
Including Akbar. Let's not
yeah.
forget Akbar was there too.
Hmm.
I didn't see Akbar.
He was
there
the one
was
sitting right
there
next
was
to Zero.
there was a Mon Calamari there. Yes.
It's Akbar.
No,
got
that's
the
not
same-
Akbar.
He's got the same color
Did
pattern on his forehead. Look
He's
it
It's
up.
all
a
about
senator.
the testicles on the chin.
Look it up. It's Akbar.
What did you mind flare? Like,
Catfish barbells. Catfish barbells.
Yes. So.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, I don't think the court scene was very boring. So let's talk about the next scene and see how boring this one was. Ahsoka training with Anakin and his hologram. Was that
Ah.
boring?
I
Ah.
thought that was actually a really clever way to throw Hayden Christensen back into another episode.
right.
And they've
It-
done it before. They've
I'll give
used
that.
those holograms before in Rebels, I believe. Where
I just
she,
love the idea of her going through them every once in a while and just kind of remembering him how he used to be.
Mhm.
Just
I didn't view it
So-
like that, but that's a wonderful point.
I was
And-
telling Josh before the show, like I haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, so this
Yeah.
is kind of a new experience for me. And just seeing Hayden Christensen deliver that level of depth to the character is something like a little bit foreign to me because he didn't go show that kind of emotion in the prequels, and I really appreciated just in that scene. Like think I was telling Josh, I think he showed a lot more emotion, a lot more to the character than he had done in the majority of his time in the prequels.
Well, a lot of that is experience. He's
Right.
20 years older, and
Yeah.
he can act now.
Right.
Well,
So
I
he
think
showed it. Like I'll give it to Hayden Christensen. He
Yeah, he's
he
killing it.
showed his performance, and it's nice to see that Vader actually, or Anakin has diversified his range of motions.
Right.
And Phil and I think it was a couple weeks ago, we talked about this subject, about how a lot of it had to do with directors and how
Right.
George Lucas didn't really direct Hayden Christensen back in the day. He's always been a good actor. He went to a really prestigious school for acting, and he knows what he's doing, but he had no direction from Lucas. Now he has direction from Filoni and all these other good
skilled
directors
directors.
that know what they're doing, and that they're really making him shine. And I think Ahsoka was by far and away the most shine that Hayden Christensen has had. I mean, of course he was in Kenobi and he did that stuff, but
Right.
this was awesome.
This has been
And this scene is where we get the final line of the trailer too. We had kind of discussed this a few weeks ago, if that was maybe a deleted scene from the trailer, but no. Him saying, in this war you'll face more than droids, Grievous, Ventress, blah blah blah.
Name dropping Asajj Ventress in live action.
It's kind of cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And also she could come back at some point. She only died in the books, and a lot of times they don't really count the books. So she could return at some point. But yeah, seeing that was really cool. Do you think that she had watched those before? Or was she just finishing this training video? It seemed to me that she was kind of just finishing these holograms.
See, and I got the feeling just from the way that they're stored, she's got the nice wooden box holding all of them. And she's been hauling them around for the last
Long time.
decade.
right.
I can't imagine that she didn't watch them before.
Okay.
I agree with Bill. Nostalgia always wins.
And maybe just even holding out hope that he might change, that he could, come back,
Yeah.
that he wasn't gone, that he wasn't completely lost to her.
Well, she's probably also trying to remember the old Anakin, because the last time she saw Anakin, he was Vader.
Yeah.
and they had a big fight. Like in Rebels, Hugh, there was a really dramatic fight between Ahsoka and
I saw
Filoni.
that part. That was all over
Okay.
the internet. Like, and I know Ezra pulls her out through the temple. Yeah, I saw that
Yep,
part.
and that was later on. Like
Jesus
after
face.
season 2, we all thought Ahsoka was dead
Dead, right?
because at the end of that episode, Darth Vader's the only one that walks out, and he's all like wounded and shit.
Right.
And so everyone just assumed that she was dead, and of course, maybe that's what they planned on doing. But then Filoni was like, you know what? I want to do some live action shit. Let's bring her back. And so
No,
Well,
yeah.
I used that world. between
Twitter.
worlds.
I think the internet was just buzzing that week that
Mhm.
Do you
I was one of
Ahsoka
them.
and Vader are gonna fight, and I'm like, I gotta check this out.
They had some real memorable fights in Rebels for sure.
But do you think the writers were doing a fan service with that, or is that just like a cheap writing hole plot? Oh, I'm gonna throw in a time loop and then boom,
I
mean,
think
the
Filoni
world
has
between
had this
worlds. I'm
planned
sorry
out.
for not clarifying.
I think Filoni has had this planned out the whole time. I think that he wrote this to set himself up for future
For
projects.
eventually being able to bring her back if he wanted.
Yep, I guarantee that dude has like story upon story upon story that he wants to use that he's written already, and one of them was probably like a sequel trilogy. Like this is probably his sequel trilogy. You know what I mean? Like if they gave him the keys to the car, and he drove the Star Wars franchise straight up because that's where they would go, then this would be his sequel trilogy. But he just had to break it down into live action TV instead. So, I mean, could you imagine if we just got 3 movies of these characters and with like OG characters sprinkled in instead of what we got? I mean, it would be much different, you know.
Yeah, lack of personality and growth. That's where they didn't have in the sequels. No growth.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not wrong. It was just kind of like, here, take this. This is what you get. Pay us.
F you, pay me.
Yeah. So,
Yo.
getting back to the boring episode. After this,
Nah, he's not gonna let
training-
that go.
He's not. Like in our chat, he just threw in a meh.
I may have used the wrong terminology when I said boring. I'm blaming the
Well,
stroke, man. I'll blame that one on the stroke.
You didn't have a stroke.
Yeah, I did.
Well, you made this bet. You're gonna lie in it all episodes. So, the whales in a minefield was quite. I don't know. I was expecting more of a slaughter. Were you guys surprised to see a minefield instead of like just automatic laser fire, or did this make sense to you, Justin?
I had no idea they're dropping those mines. That caught me off guard.
Yeah.
That really did. I was expecting the battery of lasers like everyone else, I feel like.
See, and I loved it so much. A passive defense when you are trying to conserve resources,
Mhm.
as Thrawn obviously is.
Right.
When you're trying to conserve resources, a passive defense system makes perfect sense to me. They had no idea how many Purgles were going to be coming. They had, the most effective thing that they could use against them was going to be something that they wouldn't be able to evade so easily. And I loved getting to see that 3-dimensional array of the mines. It's like, okay, no, this
They're all
is
lined
how,
up.
this is what the
Cube.
bombing run sequence in
Last
Last Jedi
Jedi?
should have been.
See, these are the
Yeah.
sequels. These are the sequels we deserve. I'm sorry.
No, I
shouldn't-
just
shouldn't
mean-
shit on everything,
I just
but-
mean, the way the mines functioned made more sense than the drop. I know
dropping them?
I know why Ryan Johnson did what he did. I know he wanted to mimic the World War II combat tropes,
Right.
and I know that that's what he was trying to evoke with that. But the 3-dimensional minefield was just beautiful. I was like, that's
Yeah.
If you don't know what vector they're coming in on, you don't have to readjust your position. You've got them surrounded already as soon as they drop out of hyperspace. And you don't have to actively do anything about it.
Right.
No risk to pilots, no risk to ships other that are, to your own ships.
Right.
And it was always my Sarlacc killer shot. I just couldn't get the shot right, but
Oh,
flying
man,
out of
just-
that whale and then seeing them, like, wow, like that was
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
fun to sight. Once
And
they
that was
first
probably
emerged.
the coolest part because
Right.
you're thinking when you see the red flashes outside of the mouth,
Right,
you're like, oh
right.
man, they're just getting blasted right now. And then they come out and you're like, oh no, that's way worse.
That's a slime
Yup.
field.
Oh no!
Nope.
Well, that's much worse.
Yeah. Hu Yang was a little firecracker this whole episode. Like from basically right now until the end of the episode. Is he your favorite character yet, guys? Or is that just me?
He's a number 2 for me, very close, but he's really good.
It's David Tennant. I'm gonna love him no matter
Yeah,
what
David
he's doing.
Tennant rocks.
Top 3.
He's phenomenal. Even when he's playing a villain, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy from Harry Potter.
No, I was thinking Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones, yeah.
Yeah, I never watched.
Jessica!
Oh
You
man,
should watch that first season.
he
It's
plays
incredible.
a mind controlling villain,
Mm.
Ooh.
and he is
Purple man.
spectacular.
He makes that
Fucking
season, man.
Kilgrave, man. He's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I totally forgot he did that.
Yeah.
And he was really good at that.
Yeah.
I loved his delivery of all of his lines in this episode, though.
He always understands the assignment.
Yeah, when he's like yelling at Ahsoka, I told you blah, 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 but you never. And then Ahsoka's like, listen, gotcha. And he just gets more frustrated about it. I will say that my favorite Hu Yang sequence was when, oh my God, and I want to make a meme out of this so bad because Ahsoka and Balin are fighting at the end, and he's like, you can't defeat me, and she's like, well, I don't have to, and then Hu Yang just comes flying in and sends off all the flares to distract, and then they just see him casually flying the ship away. I want there to be a whistle, like him whistling as he's flying away.
You're gonna make the Thor 3 meme, the Ragnarok. You can't defeat me.
Oh
Yeah,
my
but he
God.
can't.
He can.
Yes. Yeah, that or like just some weird whistling tune where he's driving away and like.
I think we just need to have like the TARDIS noise as he's coming flying back in.
Oh,
Did you
the
guys,
warp sound.
Did you guys read that article I sent earlier this week about the Hu Yang was dropped off at the Jedi Temple 20,000 years ago in a blue box?
Oh yeah.
What?
That's like
No,
canon.
yeah. No, his canon origin is a Doctor Who reference.
Yeah. It's thousands of years ago he was dropped off at the Jedi Temple in a blue box. How cool is that?
Is
So
that
we
for
go
real?
from Doctor
Yeah.
Who to Professor Hu Yang.
That is so
Oh
cool.
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So that's a fun little tidbit. It's in
Yeah.
our
Aaron
chat,
and I were
Justin.
talking about it a bit last week because we'd gotten onto a whole Doctor Who riff after
There was
last
a lot
week's
of Doctor
show.
Who last week for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, this whole sequence, it's a good little battle sequence, or not battle, but like a starfighter sequence through space and stuff. I liked watching that. But
And
basically, this is. Sorry, go for it. Phil.
It threw me off for a second when I saw the fighters coming out because it wasn't Thrawn scrambling his TIE fighters.
Mm-hmm.
It
the
was
fighters
Morgan
from the Eye
Elspeth's.
of
It was
Sion.
Morgan Elspeth's fighters from on board the Eye of Sion.
Mm.
Yeah, it was
I
the
didn't
same
connect
fighter
that.
craft. It was the same fighter craft we saw earlier in the season, and they
You can tell
weren't-
by the
we
laser
didn't-
cannons the way they sound.
and
most
the fact that they weren't TIE fighters.
Yeah, that too.
I was wondering why he didn't have any TIE fighters.
Because in the last episode, he was talking
Yeah.
about conserving.
He's
resources,
conserving
you know.
resources. He may not have any TIE fighters left at this point.
He does. There, you can see him in the Star
Well, that's true. He's got the handful. He's got the ones in the hangar that you can see on the racks above the night troopers. That's fair. But still,
but this
he's
is-
not wanting to waste anything that's still on board the Chimera if he
Yep.
can help it.
And I love that this is where this chess match begins. It's right
Mhm.
here when Ahsoka hides in the whales, in the debris or whatever, and then Thrawn is like, "All right, find her," and calls in the Night Sisters to find her, and then there's kind of like a little. It's like he gets a smirk or a twinkle in his eye when he starts looking down at the chess table and like figuring out his next move and like determining where he wants to go. Like he's like, I'm back at it. Here we go. This is what I live
He's
my
so
life for."
happy. He's so happy to have someone he believes is a worthy adversary again.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm.
Yep.
He
And it's
can
Time
you
to lose that
imagine?
COVID weight.
Can you imagine how bored Thrawn has
Dude.
been for the last
he's probably
decade?
been playing chess with his stormtroopers and just like,
Pitiful.
God damn
Every
it.
time one of them loses, he cracks their armor.
yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, that's
if
what all the
it's
red
not
ribbons
magic.
are.
If it's not magic.
For me, it was a nice throwback once he learned it was Ahsoka and got all the information and learned that Anakin was her master.
Dude,
Like
you
it
notice he
threw it
shit
back
his
to
pants right there?
yeah.
Well,
And he
because
started analyzing Anakin, and it threw it back to that episode in Kenobi
Well, but
where
he
Obi-Wan's
knows
able to basically predict all Vader's moves. Not talking about lightsaber moves, but what he's going to do next
right.
because
How
of
he's
that
gonna
fight
behave.
they had. Yeah,
Mhm.
Well, and also in the, I believe it's the comics, Thrawn.
Yeah.
There's a canon issue where Thrawn figures out that Anakin is Darth Vader. Like, he knows
does
who
he does
Anakin
put
is.
it together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it like,
Did not know that.
yeah, it's pretty soon after the Clone Wars ends, I think, where he kind of puts things together. He was like on a mission with Vader.
Yeah,
Maybe it's actually in the
they
Ascendancy series,
there's
when
a
he's-
there's a reference to it in Zahn's new
the
newer
new trilogy.
trilogy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the comics, but in the Thrawn Ascendancy, they
That's-
work together. Yeah.
Yep, and he kind of puts it all together that he's Anakin. So I think that's why he shit his pants so hard whenever he reads that.
I mean, even if he didn't, he knows Anakin,
right.
Mhm.
and he can imagine what what Anakin's apprentice would be like, and how much of a
Right.
threat, an unpredictable threat,
Yeah.
Skywalker's
Dangerous.
apprentice might be.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, and his just reaction where he's like, "Are you sure there's only one Jedi starfighter? Like, are you sure?" Because
Yeah.
because if
Oh,
there's
he's.
more, we could be screwed.
I think he was anticipating. I think he was anticipating the arrival of the fleet.
Or at least the Phoenix Squadron.
Maybe
If they got
I mean,
Sabine, you would assume the Phoenix Squadron is going to show
yeah,
up.
yeah. I mean, if multiple enemies are already figuring out where he was,
Yep.
he was never expecting to see Sabine Wren again, and
Right.
yet here she is with Ahsoka Tano on her heels.
Yep. So, do you think there's like some sort of deal that the Night Sisters and Thrawn have in place? Because I feel
Yes.
like they follow him without question. What do you think that is, Justin?
This is a wild theory, but I think the stormtroopers are held together with magic, just like your boy Ezra was Merrick.
Merrick.
Yeah, and then he boom burst into a cloud of dust. Magic. So maybe they're like, all right, we're tagging along for the long ride because all of our magic is tied up with these guys. It's a long shot, very long shot.
I think they definitely have their own reasons for wanting to get to the main galaxy. To get, I'm not going to say
Dathomir.
back, but if the witches can make it to Dathomir, that's going to be huge for them.
Yeah.
And could
Yeah.
potentially set up a lot of their own, who knows what their actual plots are.
Yeah, I think Dathomir is on their list of like places to be. Hugh, I guess you wouldn't really know. You don't really know about the Night Sisters, do you? Because of like they were in Rebels and Clone Wars.
All right. The only time I've really encountered them, like Night Sister Maren
Jedi.
from Fallen Order, so
Right.
I kind of know a little bit. But
And there was a good amount of backstory of Night Sisters there, because
Yeah.
you fight
Oh,
the
yeah.
dude that's on Dathomir,
Yep.
and like the lady joins you, and so you get some good Night Sister background. But yeah, I mean, you get a lot of the magic in Clone Wars and
Right.
Rebels. Like in Rebels, Sabine actually gets possessed by a Night Sister spirit, and there's
Ooh,
like
that's right.
there's some things that are very interesting right now because of that, because technically Sabine still owes the Night Sisters a soul
Mm-hmm.
for what they did. So there's some cool implications with the Night Sisters being back in the fold.
I can't remember if it
Ricky's-
was this episode or last, but I think Balin kind of references like the old Dathomiri Empire, and I think that could be kind of the end goal for the Great Mothers.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And Ricky says stormtroopers are magic rather than clones. Did I get that right? I think that's kind of what you got. I'm not under that impression. I think they're all actual stormtroopers. I think their armor is held together by magic, or it was fixed by magic. But I think all those coffins that they're loading up into the Star Destroyer have more to do with the Night Sisters and their magic than the actual stormtroopers themselves. I think those are real people. Some of them might be undead, maybe, but when Thrawn disappeared, I mean, how many people are on a Imperial class Star Destroyer? There's
Several
Phil.
thousand.
10,000, right?
Several thousand, it was, if I recall correctly.
Right.
It's got to be at least 10,000. So
Yeah, 10 to 12. Super Bowl
So-
Stadium.
I mean, a lot of them, would have perished in the like transportation to the other galaxy from the Purgles, but at the same time, and over time, I'm sure a lot of them died, especially going to a new galaxy, a new planet, figuring things out. But Thrawn loves his people.
10,000 almost, as far as just the stormtrooper complement,
Okay.
and like 45,000 roughly in other crew for an Imperial class Star Destroyer. That's
There you go. And
that's
So it
straight
seems
off.
like-
That's
The
straight
city.
off of Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So that strikes me as being like really big.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just as an example, I got to spend a week on board a aircraft carrier a
Ooh,
few years back,
that's cool.
and the total like crew complement, like including the fighter wings, was around 5,000. So
And I mean, a Star Destroyer is probably 3 times the size of that. You know what I mean?
oh, at least.
So-
I mean,
So yeah, I would assume that he's
Find your
got a
picture.
pretty good. He's probably got a good amount of stormtroopers left from that journey. But I do think the Night Sisters have some sort of deal with Thrawn with all their dead bodies that they're loading up, because those are dead. Those are coffins. There's no
Right.
doubt about it. those are coffins. So
Or
something's gonna happen with those guys. Which I mean, like we were
maybe they're
talking about
kyber
last week.
crystals.
get out.
No. They're kyber crystals for the reincarnated Emperor's new Star Destroyer fleet. They're tie into the sequel. You're welcome.
No,
Oh, you think this is part of all gearing up?
They have been
for the,
trying
for the
to-
Last Order.
They have,
been
yeah.
trying to over the course of the shows, they have been filling in kind of gaps and holes here and there in like how
Mentioning
we end up
cloning
Uh-huh.
with
Final
the
Order.
Mandalorian. Yeah, Hugh's
Uh-huh.
totally right. He's been hinting a little bit, trying to make up for the sequels, or at least tie some strings.
He's going to
Yeah.
make the sequels make sense, and I think that Thrawn is putting together the Katana fleet that the Emperor would use,
this
which would be
version
considered
of
the
it.
final order. So I think that's how like the Emperor is going to come back. There's probably going to be some Night Sister magic, along with cloning, and then there's going to be them finding the Star Destroyer fleet for Palpatine. And then, of course, it'll get derailed, and they have the First Order from Thrawn that he gives to keep that going. Would be my guess. Like, they got to have something that sends off the First Order.
Man, not
And-
all heroes wear capes, man. That's a tall order making that sequel trilogy make sense.
No capes.
Man, but if they do it,
what if
imagine
the Battle
if
of
they do it,
Jakku?
though. The Battle
It's
of
already
Jakku is in
done
the
at this
Aftermath
point.
series. Yeah.
Do we
It
know
was
that?
done at Yeah, it was done at the
Yeah.
like right after Jedi.
Yeah, Battle of Jakku takes place almost immediately after Endor.
Damn.
Read the
Yeah.
Aftermath series, dude.
I need to. I need to.
It's pretty good.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
But anyway, there's a lot of theories going around with the Night Sisters and the coffins and things, and I'm just excited to see what's going to happen next week.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said a couple weeks ago after the Merrick thing, I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to make any more. crazy theories anymore.
God, I wish I could have talked shit.
I mean,
you still can.
you did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You just weren't here live
I
at the
got-
time.
I got a lot of shit from a lot of people. Trust me. And I'm now getting shit for something else that I'm going to bring up when we get to that subject, which is it's kind of funny. So let's talk about Ezra and Sabine a little bit.
Yeah.
Sabine is basically filling Ezra in on everything that happened, right? The fall of the Empire, Emperor Palpatine's death, what Zeb's doing, which is training recruits, which is cool. We get it. We know where he is now.
And it makes sense as to why he's hanging out at the base with Carson.
Yeah, with what is it, Alpha Centauri?
At Alpha Base.
Is it Alpha Centauri? Am I just
No.
thinking? Am I
You're
mixing
not-
sci-fi movies?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
you are.
God, man. Well, anyway, Sabine fills Ezra in on everything, but she's
Adelphi.
terrible. There, thank you, Adelphi base. There it is. There you go. But she's a terrible liar, and I also think Ezra is a terrible liar. I think something's up with him. I think he's a little off. Do you guys
Something's
get
afoot.
that? Do you guys get the feeling that Ezra might be not Ezra anymore? Hugh? I guess you wouldn't know because you never watched Rebels.
right. But
I
I just-
think he's better than Ezra.
Oh, jeez.
You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. All season, man.
You've been holding that one in for a while, huh?
Nah, I've done this at least like every episode for the last like 3 weeks.
You didn't get one last episode, I don't think. But you got all the Doctor Who references in to make up for it. So, but
no,
but
he
what
does
makes you-
seem
go ahead.
he seems different, yes, but I mean, how much of that can be attributed to just the isolation, to just the I mean, I'm sure he had resigned himself to the fact that he was never getting off that planet again.
Right.
You know, that he was just stuck on Peridia.
It's got to
for-
take a mental toll to realize that, hey, these turtle hobbits are my family.
sure.
Hurdles.
Turtles. Turcrabs.
I guess my
Crab-
question would be,
craddles?
what about him seems off? Because obviously I don't have like kind of a point of reference, but
Go ahead, Phil.
he seems normal for someone who's been stranded in an exiled galaxy.
And hanging out with turtle rock creatures.
Yeah.
I mean,
What I thought was odd was the lightsaber exchange. Like,
mhm.
That's
can
kinda-
anyone explain that to me?
That's kind of
Was that the offness you're trying to get to?
that.
That's
and
part of it.
he's just got some weird. I don't know. He just
Vibes are
there's
off.
Something. The vibes. Yeah. Where he's
Alright,
like
alright.
really excited to get back home,
right.
which makes sense, but he doesn't care about anything else. Like, he doesn't care about how Sabine got there or how they're even going to get home or anything like that. And then, yeah, the lightsaber thing kind of throws me off a little bit.
In their defense, they were since the moment they met, they've been in nonstop action.
Yeah.
True.
Right.
Well,
I just want to
Almost.
like I want to edit over the sound, you know, just have that scene of them driving along and just start playing Slow Ride.
see, and I brought up a thing. It was in the. I think you're in the same Rebels group, Justin. But someone
I
asked-
know.
Someone asked why Ezra didn't use the lightsaber, and I replied because he uses the dark side now, and he knew that if he used the lightsaber, it would bleed the crystal.
Oh,
Now, I've gotten a lot of
Um,
responses that say I'm a complete idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, and that you breed crystals differently, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, is that a thing? Would something happen if a dark side user used a Jedi weapon?
Maul and Rebels, I want to say, disarmed them and then used their lightsaber against them.
Okay.
Ezra and them.
Well, what's the timeline? Because I mean, technically, Anakin does it too, right? Like when he changes,
Yeah, you're right.
lightsaber is still blue,
Yeah, when he's Lord Vader.
or he's Lord Vader.
It's true. Okay. See, that's
Ooh.
kind of where I was like, is it because he's maybe using more dark side now that he doesn't want to use a lightsaber?
well, old EU. They basically they were red blades because they were using synthetic kyber crystals,
Right.
not the genuine article.
And this in the new like canon, you bleed the crystal basically.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You kind of sap the light side energy out of it
Yeah,
and pour some of your own dark side energy in.
But
was
that's
gonna
the
say.
thing is if he's using so much dark side, would he pull the light side out of that original crystal that he had? He dabbled in Rebels with the dark side. He like trained with the Sith holocron for a little bit without anybody noticing. You know, like
I mean,
he knows.
everyone was busy.
Well, when you're stranded and you have to fight,
Unsupervised
crazy
teenager.
Well, if you're stranded having to fight bandits and
Yeah.
crazy scavengers and stuff, like, you're probably going to use every tool you have. And if that means using the dark side, I mean, there's a lot of theories online that his chainmail is made out of stormtrooper dog tags.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
If it was, point for magic stormtroopers.
True, but then at the same time, does that also point towards Ezra maybe using more dark side because Jedi were not very keen on killing people? So I don't know. It's just a thought that maybe that's why, and it could just be because he did actually give it to Sabine, and Sabine should be the one to use it. I mean, Ahsoka's got a fucking stash of lightsabers on her ship, so he's got plenty to choose from. You know, I just thought it was interesting that could have been a possibility that maybe he's too far gone into the dark side that, he's he can't use a lightsaber. Also, why is he still alive? If Thrawn had an idea of where
Turtle hobbits. Turtle hobbits are the shit, man. There's no way turtle hobbits are super chill and they'd hang out with the dark side guy. Nope. Nope.
Yeah, but Thrawn still has a Star Destroyer full of stormtroopers. And, like, how did Ezra get away? See, this is some things that I want to know. I want to know the backstory of how Ezra got away from Thrawn when they got to the galaxy.
The
And
10 years.
I
Sure,
know
we
this,
will
when
get
he-
that, but yeah, go ahead, Hugh.
Because when he made the jump with the Purgle, he was still on the ship. Like, they were all on the ship. So,
Yep.
be
And
very
including
difficult for him
all
to
of the
understand.
stormtroopers that were on the
Right.
ship with them. So, I mean,
And I
Did they
goofed
really
on
just
my
throw him out
on my
to the-
numbers earlier.
Hmm.
I goofed on my numbers earlier. That 45,000 is like the total, including the like 10,000 stormtroopers.
yeah.
That's like
talking,
45,000
like,
total.
lieutenants and janitors.
Yeah, and the
pilots
entire
and all this
support
stuff.
staff, everybody on board the carrier, which
Right.
are on board the Star Destroyer, which calculated it's roughly 5 times the length of a like Nimitz class aircraft carrier.
Jesus Christ, with the knowledge.
I just
So-
have internet and ADHD.
You believe that's my Warhammer a bit, but to answer your question about why he didn't accept the lightsaber, it could just be like he didn't have one all this time. Maybe he's just more comfortable
he's
with the
rusty
force.
or something.
With the force, like, and he's pretty good with the force. Like, I don't know if we're at that part in the discussion yet. Like, did he
Force
actually like
judo.
bend the lightsaber? Like, or is
Oh,
that like
A little
a
bit.
mistake?
Yep.
What
Like,
a moment.
Yeah, he definitely pushed
he
it back.
caught-
He's very powerful.
He
Yeah.
catches Shin's blade and pushes it back.
yeah, like he bent it. I was like, what?
Yeah, we finally get to see the Star Wars version of the bare hand blade block. I mean, that's
Mhm.
Ooh,
And it was-
you're
that's-
right.
It was
yeah. So, I mean, he may have just hit full, like, Force monk.
Right.
I mean, he did say he's one with the Force, and that's like Chirrut shit from Rogue One.
He's one with the Force, and the Force is with him.
Did he say he's one
He
with
was
the Force?
about
I
it.
don't remember him saying
He
that.
said
I think he's
something
the
like
Force
that.
is all he needs. Like the
Yeah.
Force
Yeah,
is my
he's-
ally.
Yeah,
is all
yeah,
I
yeah.
The
need.
Force is my ally.
Right.
Was what he said, I believe.
Still
But
badass.
at the same time, like, it's possible. You know, there's no way that Thrawn just let that dude go.
Right.
Something
something
Maybe
doesn't
he
add
was
up,
to
you're
have
right.
happened.
General Phil, I need your opinion.
Okay.
Maybe he was tired of wasting resources and throwing at one person.
I think that is definitely a possibility. He could have seen, that it was pointless to keep, throwing troops at Ezra, and to just like maybe just hoping he'd go off and starve and die on his own. But we
I just
haven't
can't see
seen
that.
we haven't seen any interaction between Ezra and Thrawn yet.
Will
No,
we?
We've
I
seen
get the feeling
interactions
I get the
between-
feeling we're going to get some flashback scenes coming up.
How tall is
Ooh.
Enoch?
Shorter than Thrawn. Oh, no, no. Don't you know? That took me a while. Don't you try to do that connection. Ezra.
Maybe that's all they needed was just to clone him, and he was like, you know what? I have your equal now. If you want to come at me, you have to.
What
kill
if
you.
what if the clone is with the turtle hobbits?
I thought the
That's
same
actually
thing.
something that I tossed out as soon as we first met Enoch.
Exactly. I had the
So
same
that-
idea. I'm like, is that Ezra? Like,
if that's actually Ezra and the
Wow.
clone of Ezra is the one that Sabine is, finally meeting up with. Here's the thing. If that is a clone that is out there with Sabine right now, then it's a Force sensitive clone.
Right. So did they find a way to actually clone?
oh
Jedi.
shit, yeah.
Different galaxies. They wouldn't be communicating though.
Well, Night Sisters though. Night Sisters came up
Oh,
with it.
God damn it! You're right.
There's a lot of possibilities here with Ezra, and that's why I brought that up. Is because he is a little off in this, and of course, being stranded for 9 years in a different galaxy is gonna turn anyone different.
Alright.
I mean, Thrawn has a freaking beer gut now, so
That's
that was a thing before.
And again, I want to just say, yeah, his uniform has been patched. Yes, his uniform has been repaired, but it is still as close to spotless white as he can get it.
Yep.
And that
He's
is
just-
dedication.
Yep.
He's a pristine guy.
No shit. So I think the last thing that we need to cover, I mean, of course, whatever else you guys have to cover, we'll get there. But the last thing that I have is Balin and Shin and Ahsoka, basically. So Balin basically just goes full on nomad here. He's like, hey, Shin, we aren't on the same page. So you go do your thing, and I'm going to go do my thing.
There you go.
And she looked very
Shocked.
hurt about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Surprised, hurt, and like
Let's say
This was
hesitant.
definitely
confused.
not the way she was expecting this mission to go.
right. And so I think that kind of debunks the whole Shin is Balin's daughter theory. That's been a thing floating around. I don't think Balin would just leave his daughter to go,
Regardless of
Claim her
Jedi
place.
thoughts on attachment.
right.
No one could do
But
that.
it really brings up that question, like, what the F is Balin playing at here? What is he looking for? What's this power that he thinks he's going to find? Justin?
Zepho. I think it's
Okay.
going to be tied into the Zepho, and this is how Cal Kestis gets introduced
go.
eventually. Yeah, right. I want to see live action Cal.
Let's
So-
go.
So
But, like,
explain
the
the Zepho
Zepho.
for people.
The
We got to
Zepho
see-
are
We got to see live action Cal in commercials for
Oh yeah,
Survivor with Mark
with
Hamill.
the bodysuit.
Yeah, that was great. The
They
bits
gave you
they were
two
filming.
lightsabers.
They never gave me two lightsabers. He's almost
was a-
tapping into his Joker voice as he does it. He says, "They never gave me two lightsabers."
That was a fun ad for sure.
It was
Oh,
awesome.
that one was great.
But give us a rundown on the Zepho, Justin or Hugh.
I'll
Hugh,
let
you
Justin
go.
do it.
You get it.
It's been a long time since I played that game. You can go ahead and go.
I was gonna say I'm the same way, but the Zepho are an
help out.
ancient force wielding race that most of the current galaxy, I believe, have forgotten about. But like throughout the games, you try to find more information about these ancient people, and then it continues with the story. I don't want to ruin.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to look at the Zepho's heads and the way that they look, and look at the bandits and their helmets, because in a way their helmets kind of resemble the Zepho head, and
The leader.
it's very possible that they actually worship the Zepho, and that's why Balin was so quick to team up with them. And he kind of wants to. I'm sure that's on the docket, is to find the Zepho, because from what I understand, and I never played the Second Jedi, but from everything I've read, the Zepho were the first Force users in the normal galaxy, and then they basically changed places with the Night Sisters. The Night Sisters came from Peridia to our galaxy, and then the Zepho went from our galaxy to Peridia, is what I've kind of gathered.
It would be interesting to tie in. I know they're trying to go for more continuity in between all the different media across the books, the movies, the games, everything. So tying Zepho in would be interesting. Because they're supposed to have been extinct. The people were supposed to have been extinct by the Clone Wars, right?
Oh god,
They're like an
yeah.
ancient force sensitive race, but
Yeah, wiped out though long before the current era.
my question was, who
New theory.
made the architecture regarding the map? Is that I thought
Yeah.
that might be Zepho, or is it the Night Sisters?
Well,
Looking at the little orbs that the Night Sisters carry, that the three carry,
what's the point to them?
they're similar.
Right.
So,
and there was Zepho writing in Jedi
In the
Fallen Order
ruins.
and stuff too. Yeah.
Yep.
In most of the Jedi temples that they went to. I am trying to find. There is a phrase above one of the doorways that Thrawn is standing in front of last episode that someone actually deciphered. And it says, "Raise Kujet,
Glad you bring this
ruler
up.
of all, may his reign last for all." I believe Kujet was the original leader of the Zepho. And so that could be something these Night Sisters are trying to do as well, is raise this guy, whoever Kujet is. So that was a pretty cool little tidbit that people kind of deciphered the writing on the walls. And it has it's an
that's
extreme
impressive.
callback. Yeah, it's an extreme callback.
How do you spell
to the
Kujet?
Jedi series.
Kujet.
Mm-hmm. So he was the ruler of the mysterious Zepho species, reigning from his seat on Dathomir. Seems to have been corrupted by the dark side, massacring everyone standing in his way. We lose trail of Zepho's history in the old Star Wars galaxy sometime after his death, when another Zepho led the remainder of the species into the great unknown, which would be the other galaxy.
Oh, they're totally tying it into that.
That's
So.
fun.
Right?
That's
I thought that was a really
Um,
cool.
And
thing.
I guess people are saying that maybe Hu Yang is actually designed to kind of resemble a Zepho.
Look at his head. Look at the
Yeah.
way his head is shaped.
So, if he's a Zepho droid,
He can probably read that writing.
He popped it in a little blue box.
it would also explain why they decided to bring Hu Yang, of all the characters they could have had accompanying Ahsoka on this.
Mm-hmm.
We pulled that thread and we saw your plan, Filoni.
Yeah, either way, it's a cool reference, even if it doesn't go anywhere. And
Yeah.
this is strictly about Thrawn and like his help with the Night Sisters.
Right.
There
If
has to
nothing
be a
else,
big
I mean-
bad, and Thrawn can't be it. Thrawn and Shin cannot be the big bads of the Mandoverse story.
Mhm.
Yes, we're gonna get a battle with a Mythosaur. Yes, we're gonna get some sweet starfighter action with Thrawn and some cool chess matches with him and his things. But there has to be a big bad that everyone needs to come together to defeat. So, some food for thought. I'm sure we'll figure out a lot more of that when we get into the finale and into more of the Filoniverse, which, by the way, can, I believe, start being written again because the strike has been done.
Partially
It's done.
resolved.
Yes, they're not
The
picketing anymore.
WGA,
They
The
need to
right
vote on it.
WGA is done. SAG-AFTRA is still currently on strike.
They're waiting on a vote, I believe.
Yeah,
Right.
it has not
Which was-
officially ended on the SAG-AFTRA side. Also, it looks like we're seeing some video game industry people
Joining
start
in on
to move in that direction. So
Good.
Oh,
Yeah,
Those guys get
there's
screwed
there's
harder
some
than
very
the writers
good
do.
very good collective bargaining action going on.
don't
Good.
fuck with my video games, man.
They're about
Please,
You give them
what else
whatever
do
you want. What they want.
They're about to. So to basically wrap everything up, there's a lot that can go on next week in the finale.
Oh yeah,
I want to just ask each one of you guys, what is your like top
Prediction for-
prediction? Yeah, let's go around the room. Let's start with Hugh. What would be your top prediction for next week?
Man. Top prediction for next week. That Zepho thing has me pretty excited. I don't know, man. Like we had some crazy like predictions for the Mando finale. You remember that? And like
I do.
none of them came
Nothing
real. I was like,
actually.
armor,
Grogu riding the
betray.
Mythosaur,
But we did get a little Grogu in the Mythosaur.
Oh man,
which I still think
man.
could happen.
the
Dude,
whole
could you
whole
imagine?
red herring about the armorer being the
Oh.
traitor and Axe's woves being the traitor.
There is
and-
no traitor.
I mean, I'll get some low hanging fruit here. I'll save the tougher stuff for you guys. But I'll go ahead and say that we're actually going to see some pretty good force usage out of Sabine here. Like I think we've been leading to that all season. I know that's barely a prediction, but a force push, something in a moment of need. I'll go ahead and throw that out there.
I'll
like that, yeah.
I'll piggyback on that. I think she's going to get disarmed at some point, and we'll do the classic lightsaber pull.
Yep, reach out for the lightsaber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
that's like the
because
last callback we have. that we
because
need.
here's the thing, that is one of the very first physical uses of the Force we ever saw Luke Skywalker do. It's one of the first ones of the. It's one of the first physical uses of it we ever saw in the franchise. It's
Yeah,
the
with the
lightsaber
Wampa.
pull on Hoth.
And
it was
that's
the
how she
first
beat
thing-
Shin. There we go. I'll up it up a little bit.
All right.
There you go.
I think that was the first thing that Rey did as well with the Force, aside
Mm-hmm.
from the mind trick, which, oh God, no, I don't even want to get there. Never mind. Justin, what would be your... Wait, Phil, did you get into your top? Or did you just piggyback?
I still think we're gonna see the surviving crew of the Ghost get back together. Now I think we're gonna jump back to the main galaxy and probably end with like Giorno just being like, oh, that's Thrawn, and kind of his oh shit moment when he realizes that Hera was not lying, that she was actually correct.
I think Giano's on the Imperial payroll.
We had a whole conversation about Giorno and his
Yeah.
whole like later chronological appearance in Star
Yeah.
Wars Resistance.
Mhm.
'Cause he's still on the Senate in
Yeah.
Resistance. So
Yeah.
even if he messes up here, he's still on the Senate.
Right.
But, I think
I
Fela
mean-
in Thrawn, the Thrawn series, was still on the Senate after his betrayal, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Didn't they keep him on there?
Yep.
So it's very possible that Justin was saying in the chat earlier that Xiono could be taking the Phala spot from
Oh, totally
Yeah.
the
is.
Thrawn trilogy. So
He's just an asshole who's an opportunist.
Yeah.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
What's your top prediction, Justin, for the finale?
I hope they're gonna end it like a Breaking Bad and leave it on a climax. And so I want to see Thrawn realize he can't go back to the other galaxy.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
there will
Why
be some
not?
kind of
Now I'm
maybe the ship blows up or dysfunctions, and they have no good way to get back up to the ring thing or something or rather.
well, because I mean they were on
Maybe-
Thrawn was
uh,
on the Eye of Sion.
was
Mhm.
he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
never
where
mind.
Yeah,
that's where he was doing all of his tactical shit.
Yeah.
Well, something will derail their plans, and then they'll be stuck there. And then
Okay.
everyone's been wanting to see the reunion or the true reunion with the Phoenix crew, and see how the other galaxy is going to react to the Thrawn's coming. But nope, it's not going to get there. We're just going to give you a cock tease.
I think it's going to be a tease, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. I really think that Ahsoka and gang are going to have to play the stowaway game, and they're going to have to find a way to sneak onto the Star Destroyer or the Eye of Sion and like hang out there until they get back to the real galaxy.
Thrawn's
What my
expecting that.
what my top prediction is that Ahsoka's going to land her Jedi Starfighter on the Star Destroyer.
Mhm. As
Right before they go
as
to
the Chimera
hyperspeed.
docks with the Scion and goes.
Yep. She's going to pull a freaking Han Solo and park right on the side that she needs to park so they can't trace her, and she's just going to be there as they go into hyperspace.
And then she'll hop out of the Star Cruiser and ride the side of it like a badass, and just
Like Tom Cruise and Mission
start
Impossible
swatting
5.
at stuff.
They've just been doing a lot of crazy stuff. On
I know.
the ship. I'm
Yeah.
just like, wow.
But they have to come back. Just to conclude the Filoni verse and make a movie, they have to come back to the real galaxy. Like,
That's the
Yeah,
movie, though.
they're-
That's
and-
the movie.
and maybe you're right. Maybe it is. Maybe the next season of Ahsoka, because they are planning on a second season of Ahsoka, a fourth season of Mandalorian, and all that stuff. Maybe that's when Thrawn will come back. I would be kind of sad though, because that would mean that unless Balin dies in this next episode, it means that his story probably continues, and we're gonna have to go on without Ray Stevenson.
I would like to see like if Valen survives the finale, I would like to see them carry his character on in a book.
Oh, and I'm sure they
I'd
will.
read it.
He's so popular, they have to be already thinking about putting him in some sort of other story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it would be a fitting tribute to Ray Stevenson for his acting career. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like, hey, one of your last roles was this character, and we're gonna keep that character going. You know,
Right.
Yeah, you mentioned
I think-
favorite characters earlier.
That would
and
be awesome.
he hangs a close second, but Balin.
Balin
is
Skull,
probably
man,
my
he's
That's the
favorite.
thing,
Like I
too,
like
is-
that guy a lot.
They could
Okay,
leave him
okay.
there. Like he could stay there and they all travel back to the galaxy, and then that's when you get Mandalorian season 4, when you're seeing Thrawn gather the troops basically, and you know Mando is being hired to track down these different Imperial warlords. And then you have Ahsoka season 2 where they're getting the Phoenix crew back together to actually battle Thrawn. And then you have the movie where there's the big battle. So I mean,
That would
either way,
mean
Thrawn has
you
to come
make
back to the galaxy.
according to that timeline, that would mean you would have to make a movie of nonstop action because all the
Yeah.
plots has already been covered.
Not necessarily.
it-
Not if they raise the Kujet. Not if at the end of Ahsoka season 2 they raise Kujet on Dathomir. And then you have this Force
Big
god
s-
that you have to
yeah.
defeat.
What
With
if
the
they
mythosaur.
Side thought, what that would be dope.
Just
Side thought,
Grogu riding the Mythosaur and destroying Kujet. Oh, that'd be so sick.
Started with
Oh.
Baby Yoda, it ends with Baby Yoda. God damn it.
It fucking better, dude. It better.
what if they recasted his character? Like, who would you want to see? Because
Ray
I know who I
Stevenson?
want to see. Yeah.
John Cena. I'm kidding.
Peacemaker up in here. Like, let's go.
How about
me.
this? You ready? Ready? Ron Perlman.
I'd take it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
I'd take that or
Hellboy.
David Harbour, the other Hellboy.
I would rather see Perlman
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
of
so,
those
too.
two.
He's
Like I
got the
love David
grit.
Harbour, but I also want to see him be able to
Although,
finish up Stranger Things.
what about the guy that plays Sandman in Spider-Man 3?
And Marco, I don't know. That's the character.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
remember his name, but he might be all right because he's fairly old now. You put a beard on him; he's pretty big still. So, what was that guy's
Thomas Hayden Church? Is that
Yeah,
it?
Thomas Hayden
Thomas
Church.
Hayden Church. There you
Okay.
Oh, I
He,
just thought of like Disney would never ever cast Ron Perlman. You guys hear about
Probably not.
this? His reaction to the Disney or or is it Bob Igerman or
Oh yeah.
his
no, it was-
reaction to his reaction to what he said about the whole strike.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
no.
God, they would never do
it
that.
was- Yeah. No.
Not as
Yeah,
long as
no.
Bob Iger's there.
Yeah.
that was absolutely
right.
beautiful. I absolutely adore Ron Perlman.
Yeah, I did kind of like those guys getting destroyed by the other celebrities. That was
I could
kinda nice.
see Thomas Hayden Church maybe, but I really just I don't think they'd bother. I don't think they would do
No.
it.
I don't think they do either, especially if they leave him on that planet. I think before, like, if he
That's the
didn't
easiest
pass away,
writing technique.
right? And if he didn't pass away, they could continue his story from there. But if they just leave him, then there's not, fuck it.
I don't know if he has the height, but maybe Ian Glenn from Game of Thrones,
Okay.
Jorah Mormont.
Yeah.
Maybe he can do it.
Oh.
Okay.
Every time I see Balin, I see like a knight, and like I just
Oh, absolutely.
the
Yeah.
way he
There
fights,
are-
everything about him. Like
It's-
There are always Game of Thrones actors coming to Disney and
Right.
stuff, so that would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Heck
yeah,
yeah.
he could be pretty good too.
Good picks. Let's move on to some more picks for this
There you go.
episode, which I like to call our segments, and we're going to start off with the. It's the Starlight Killer scene where we talk about our favorite still shot of each episode. We always like to start with our wonderful guests. So, Hugh, your Starlight Killer scene comes in at the 29-minute and 52-second mark. Go ahead and tell us about this scene.
yeah, man, just take it in for a second. First of all, but
This was my pick, by the way, and then
Just-
you ruined
I
it.
sniped it. I apologize.
I actually thought about snagging this one too, so I'm glad you got it, Hugh.
This what this show has done incredibly well for me is just the way they've done the sword play, or saber play, if you will. Just the various stances we see Ahsoka go through. She's got the 2 lightsaber here. We've seen her with 1. We've seen her do the quick strike when the droid is like spinning his dual-bladed lightsaber, and she just knocks it up and slashes him real quick. We've seen her do the reverse grip. We've seen her switch stances mid-fight, especially her fights with Balin. They're just super enjoyable, and just the technical aspects of these fights are just, for me, it's some of the best Star Wars lightsaber content out there. Like, I mean, for me, it's like Anakin, Obi-Wan. Like, even though it's a lot of flourishing, yeah, I love that. But this is a close
they're
second
just-
right here.
Star
But-
Wars is Star Warsing again, and this
Yeah.
scene proves it. Like it's cheesy, it's kid friendly, but it's still just so freaking awesome.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Very
this
Kurosawa.
this brief
Always.
stance, and even the music, even Kevin Kiner's music was
Right.
very like ancient kind of samurai stuff. going on
Dude,
here.
Hugh, I need to
and-
have you come over sometime and watch some Kurosawa samurai shit. 'Cause,
Blood
Definitely.
throne, blood in the throne.
I
oh,
mean, I've been playing a little Ghost of Tsushima. Steve Vance is
nice.
in that
Ooh.
as well.
Yep.
I know,
Forgot
of course,
about
in
I just
Jedi
beat that game
Survivor.
recently, dude. Ghost
Yeah.
of Tsushima was. I can't wait for the second one.
No, it's
And
incredible.
I didn't. It was free on PlayStation Plus or whatever 1
Yeah.
month, and I was like, I'll check this out. I guess.
Nah,
Let's
it's
see.
dope.
And like a month later, I'm
incredible.
like, I can't stop playing this game,
Yeah, dude. I put the subs on. I was just like, yes.
dude.
Just
and it's so much
Jitsu
fun.
duel after Jitsu duel.
On
And
But
it's
those
it
like
makes you want
wind.
to fire up, Jedi Survivor and just like
yeah, or
get
it kind of
some
makes
great
me want to
save
fire
removal.
up Shadow of Mordor again.
Yeah.
Because it's very similar to that kind of gameplay where
Oh
you just
man, hold up.
destroy orcs. Oh, so much fun.
Oh,
Just the
Excellent
technicality
pick.
of the sword fighting. Just
Yeah.
incredible.
But yeah,
beautiful, beautiful
Um,
choice.
excellent
Uh,
pick. Let's go on to Justin's pick because nice, dude. It's
Mm.
such a fun game.
Yeah.
Like, and it was such a surprisingly fun game.
Yeah.
Because you're like, Lord of the Rings, whatever. And
They
then when
never
you
hit
start
these.
chopping off orcs' faces, like
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I can get down with this. So,
Sorry,
Justin,
man. I've been a
yours-
Lord of the Rings fan since I was in like first grade.
Hey, dude, me too. I read The Hobbit. I think it was second grade that I read The Hobbit. So I was a very good reader back in the elementary school, and I needed challenges. So I was reading Stephen King in third grade and like all sorts
Wow.
of shit. So it was.
You get a lot of pizza from the book it, dude. Like,
I did.
Hell yeah, man.
The book fairs were my favorite. Even like so,
Galactics.
Jesse and I know each other from kindergarten.
Yeah.
We were in the like advanced reading class in first grade, and like we were at a fifth grade reading level basically in first grade, and it
Right.
just like the time I-
Escalated.
second grade came around, and I was like, I need some better things. So yeah. Anyway, Justin, your Starlight Killer scene comes in at the 4-minute and 54-second mark. It's the most boring scene of the show. Why don't you tell us about this one?
Oh, so
I didn't pull the video. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. This is the whole conversation with Tiva standing up, clarifying the timeline, and then like 3PO eventually walks in and lets give Ziono, whatever his name is, Ziono. Thank you. A piece of Leia's mind, and then he comes back with it's a mere droid. And then during this photo is when I believe Chopper's what the fuck and shaking around, and they quickly pan back around. But it's Chopper just giving his 2 cents, which is always my favorite.
And
He's a sassy
Tiva's
droid.
reaction. Tiva's reaction to Chopper's just like, hey.
Yeah. I think my favorite meme from this scene that's come out in the last day is it's Ziono, and he says it's ... mirror droid, and then it shows Chopper saying you raggedy bitch, like like 'cause that's what he's saying. He's like, I will annihilate you. Do you know who I am?
Do you know how many people I've killed?
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Yeah, a lot. It's been a lot. But yeah, no, this Chopper's brief little scene in this was worth every second because he's definitely one of my favorite droids.
That was the only excitement of the episode for me.
Just dunks on the episode.
This fucking guy.
I love it.
He just does that to get under my skin. That's
It was
all
just
it
a
is.
Yes,
mere
yes, I do.
He's like
It
a
weren't
brother.
So
He's like
easy.
that brother
he
that
wouldn't
just like
always do it.
he just pokes all the time, and then I retaliate.
I'm not.
And then I have to do things in our
touching
opening
you.
videos, and it's what was the one oh yeah, because you kept talking about fucking Minch Yoda, and it put you in your goddamn place.
All right. I was a little sauced that episode, but Minch is real.
Go
We're
back
just
to
gonna,
I think that was
we're just
episode
gonna
3.
edit this sequence
I think
out.
that was Ahsoka episode 3, where I basically the intro I cut 30 seconds into it, where I typed out basically Minch Yoda is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and if anyone ever says it again, they're taken out of the street. Like it was just you know, because Justin likes to poke, so I like to just kick in the balls back. But anyway, let's move on to Phil's Sarlacc killer scene, which comes in at the 15 minute and 18-second mark. Tell us about this shot.
So this is Ahsoka and Hu Yang flying through the Purgle graveyard, and I just loved the composition of this shot, the lighting, all the shadow of the Purgle rib cage, just again emphasizing how big these things are and how long these remains have been there, and it's just pretty.
It's a very magnificent shot. And
Yeah.
the wide shots in this continue to impress.
Yeah. Outstanding work on the part of the VFX team, concept artists. They're absolutely killing it with this series. They really are.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I really liked this scene as well. Just the whole sequence of this. I couldn't find I don't know. I feel like this was one of the best
this is pretty
lighting
much
shots. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
And I'm gonna throw this out there. I've been rereading a book series about space necromancers, and this reminded me a lot of the cover art from the second book in the series. So Tamsin Muir's Locked Tomb series, Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, and Nona the Ninth so far. But yeah, the cover for Harrow is all like blue and black. Tommy Arnold did spectacular cover work. It's like blue and black and has necromancer and skeletons all over the cover, and it's gorgeous. But it made me think that made me think of that, and it all ties in. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense. It's an excellent pick. And I love how all of our picks are just kind of all over the place this episode.
Yes.
Sometimes there's been a couple episodes where we all kind of pick a shot from the same sequence, which is cool because they're different. But this one, they're kind of scattered. So my shot comes in at the 33 minute and 37 second mark. It's Thrawn looking over the chessboard with Morgan Elsbeth, and you can just see him thinking so hard about what his next move is going to be. And I love the dialogue that we get from a lot of these scenes, especially the one where, you know, Ahsoka shows up, and so you got Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra fighting the Imperials and Shin, and he's just like, almost like the Jedi of old. And you're like, oh, shit, like this guy knows what's up. And so right now, he's contemplating his next move. He's studying what these guys are doing, and he's just being the all-around Thrawn that I've known and loved since the 90s.
I think my favorite comment on one of these shots that I've seen is, why does he have 4 pens? That seems like a lot of pens. And I know they're his rank. I know they're his rank cylinders. They carry codes and access codes and things. I know what they're supposed to be in universe. Yeah. I just loved the idea of somebody looking at him and saying, "Why does he need 4 pens?"
They're all different colors for different things. You know?
No, they're all blue. It's Thrawn. They're all blue ink.
You're right. Blue and red. Blue and red. What's up?
With that photo, is that like the twinkle in the eye you were talking about? Because I'm just not seeing it. Like, he needs a piece of art.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different scenes where when he's looking over the battlefield, it's like
he's still a very political character. I mean,
he looks invigorated. Absolutely.
What's one of your favorite video games of all time, Justin?
Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
When you
think about the tower defense game.
No. When you picked up the Final Fantasy VII remake, how did you feel when you started playing it?
Many emotions at once.
And that's the feeling that Thrawn is getting right now as
he's
getting back into the fold.
I get it.
Perfect explanation.
Oh shit, they rebooted my Jedi.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is like you can just tell, man. You can tell he's so excited to be back in it. There's a couple little smirks that he gets when he's like explaining what he's doing, and
that's
Yeah.
the nice thing with Lars. Like he knows the character is so pristine and stern. Every little subtle facial expression has meaning behind it. He's
Yeah.
he's killing it right now. He's killing it.
See? So much for a boring episode. Let's move on to the next segment,
Uh,
which of course it's the One Chimers part of the episode where we talk about our favorite line of dialogue of each episode. We're moving along really nicely this week again. See, I told you the notes. They're perfect now. They're great. So let's just keep it rolling. Hugh, your One Chimer was...
I gave it to you. It's yours now.
At least take a blaster.
No. The Force is my ally. That's all I need.
Well, I'm gonna need more than that.
So not only is this just great banter between Ezra and Sabine, but it kind of mirrors what we've been seeing from Sabine all season in her Jedi training, in that she's always been good with the weapons, but lacking in the Force. And then we have Ezra coming in, just pretty much just using the Force. I love the juxtaposition there, a little dichotomy there. And I love that we're getting closer, I feel, to my prediction, which is obviously that she's going to end up using the Force and channeling her Force sensitivity in the finale. But just love the continuity of the story and her growth as a character, in terms of that she's always been searching for this, the connection that she needs to Force to truly become a Jedi. She's got the weapon skills down pretty much, but it's that last bit that she's missing, which is pretty huge if you want to be a Jedi. Let's just be honest.
a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
Gotta have a little bit of a connection to the Force.
Right,
It's not a requirement or anything.
No, one of my or go ahead.
Go on.
One of my
That's just
favorite
an excellent
scenes.
explanation for the for that pick. But
Yeah.
one of your what now?
One of my favorite scenes from earlier in the season is when she tries to force push Shin just out of like sheer like reflexes and shit. This crazed grin, like look on her face is just like, you have no power, and then she just shoots her with the darts. I get it.
And I still think she gave her a little Force slap where she might have felt a little bit. It wasn't much, but you know.
I'm waiting for the real thing. We'll get it next week. We hope.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
hope so. Excellent pick. Let's go on to Justin's One Chimer.
Thought you were dead. And miss this reunion?
If anyone knows Ahsoka, and especially from Rebels and watching her body language, that scene was the epitome of just being Ahsoka. Just miss this reunion, the little like head pop. That's just her, and I loved seeing that in live action. Like Rosario is destroying the role, but she's like encompassed the entire character, and it's wonderful to see that transition to the live action.
Agreed. And I really liked that line as well. And then the music behind it was really good too, because it's that Ahsoka theme, but it's like a medley of the Ahsoka theme from Rebels, and that's just, Kevin Kiner's done such good work with the score throughout this whole series, and I love it. Good pick. Excellent pick. Phil, let's go on to your One Chimer.
One parting lesson, Shin. Impatience for victory will guarantee defeat.
I think that is probably the single best piece of advice that any master has ever given their apprentice in the history of Star Wars.
No matter what the master or apprentice is, Sith or Jedi, that is the best piece of advice.
Or even, Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Don't rush.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to do things before their time. And again, assuming we're not going to get, another season of Balin Skull, it's a hell of a line for him to end their companionship on. Like, I have been here, I've been teaching you. This is the last best advice I can give you, if you want to survive.
And her reaction is just like, "You really are leaving, you son."
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like he's trying to kind of nudge her away from the true
Empire.
Sith,
Mm.
but also not necessarily trying to push her to the Jedi either.
Do you think she's being pulled to the light when Ahsoka tries to help her?
I think there's
episode?
definitely some influence there, yes. I think she's severely reconsidering, everything that she has done with getting to Thrawn. Because what's it gotten them? Off to another galaxy, and then what? She has no idea what Balin's plans for her actually are.
You think Shin could be the Filoni version of Mara Jade?
Nah.
Whoa. What if it was the Filoni version of Mara Jade, but with who you don't expect with Sabine? There's sexual tension there, man. Those two look at each other. Ooh, yeah, I can feel it.
I don't think.
Can't wait
off
to see
Reddit. I'm gonna go with my one chimer.
I don't think so. But I do. I mean, we were talking about her potentially ending up as like apprenticed to Ezra down the line.
It'd be interesting. It'd be
yeah.
interesting to see if she actually comes to the light side and decides to go away from Thrawn.
This might be a dumb question because it doesn't seem like Balin is fully dark either. Are their
Exactly.
sabers?
They're not red.
Are
No,
they more
they're
orangey?
orange.
Like,
They're
yeah.
definitely more
Wow,
orange.
I think
Yes.
you think that's a choice?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Me too. I think so.
They didn't bleed it all the way, I think.
I think that's what it is too. Is they didn't
They only milked
actually
it.
go all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
No,
milked a
there's
little bit of the
there's definitely significance to the color of their blades.
Okay.
To his denial that they are Jedi at the beginning of the season, but also to his treatment of Shin. Like, he wants her to get stronger, yes, but he doesn't necessarily seem like he wants her to fully embrace the dark side either.
He says that kind of power is always fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, then she says, like, hey, we'll finally be in power now. And even when he's fighting Ahsoka down by the ocean, he's like, it didn't have to be this way. It almost seems like he doesn't want that kind of conflict.
I agree. I think he's a little more Jedi than he is Sith. I think he's more. These are the most gray Jedi that I think we've seen.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, he still grew up in the Order.
Mm-hmm.
He still grew up. He was still a Thrawn referred to him as a general. So Thrawn remembered him,
right?
Or at least by reputation from the Clone Wars.
Yep. To answer your question, Ricky, purple is what the most badass motherfuckers use. And that's it.
If you're Samuel L., you get to just request that, and it's done.
So,
let me just ask you a question. You play D&D, right?
Yeah.
All right. So where do you feel like Balin lands on the moral alignment?
Oh,
that's a good one, man.
Oh, I like this. I like this.
that. Man,
I
definitely lawful. Like, I think he's got the lawful. Well, I don't know.
I think lawful neutral.
Yeah, I think he's got the lawful axis. Yeah, hovering between. I mean, obviously he's doing bad shit. So yeah, I think you got to give neutral.
Lawful evil, I think.
Huh?
But not fully. But lawful neutral. Damn it, you got me.
Right, Phil? Like a servant of Hex store, right?
Hell yeah.
Interesting. I see, and I would want to put him on chaotic neutral, I think, where he's like he does things that are a little
He
different, but
has
he's still in like a neutral ground.
he has a very clear moral code that he is following,
Yeah,
and that might be all of the law that he requires.
makes sense. Huh, that's a really good
Yeah.
question. I like that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make that into a TikTok this week. Good job. Justin.
That's awesome.
But let's move on to my one chimer here. Good discussion, by the way. I forgot to bring that up during the episode. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on
No, that's good.
that whole thing. So, my one chimer this week was
Which is why we must control all variables. Put her on a path of her own choosing, so that no matter which direction she takes, we'll always be one step ahead of her.
you see the twinkle there, Justin,
I see the twinkle, or I saw the
And that-
twinkle.
Did
and
you
that's
feel?
why.
Did you feel it?
Yeah, that's why I
I
picked that.
sort of
one.
got hard.
Did you feel the zing?
It was definitely the most excited he was, and that's why I picked that one, because it was the most Thrawn scene I could pick.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it was either that one or when he looks at Morgan and goes, "Her master was Anakin Skywalker," and then just drops a load in his pants. 'Cause, like, that was hilarious. But this scene in particular, you're like, new people to Thrawn are realizing like he's very much a strategic game player when it comes to war and like the war tactics, and he's really good at it. So this is kind of your introduction to that, and it was really fun to see that. Hugh, were you like convinced that he's a badass like war gamer, I guess, with this episode or these last couple episodes? Because you hadn't ever seen
Right.
Rebels and you hadn't read the books, and so like for us, we know that he's
Right.
always 3 steps ahead. Were these couple episodes convincing enough for you?
No,
or
it
do you
definitely
need more?
conveys that. That line does. The introduction of the gunships, and he's like exactly 2 gunships. Like he's very precise in like what he's doing, and that truly conveys it for me. For me, it was at the end of the episode though, when Phil had mentioned it earlier, when she says, "All I see is our enemies united," and he
And he's like,
explains,
"Take a
"Nope,
look at
I
what I
actually
see."
have time on my side, which is the most important aspect of this battle." So that's really what pushed it over the edge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see where this episode, where the finale goes. I'm excited for it, but I'm also sad that it's going to be over because no.
I know. We got Loki coming next week. I know you guys are Star Wars guys,
true.
not Marvel
That's
guys.
true.
But we
Loki
get that
will be
Loki,
fun.
huh?
Yeah, that'll
I
be
can't
fun.
wait for the new Loki because the first one was goddamn awesome
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hell yeah.
and funny.
You're right.
We're getting new Loki and new Our Flag Means Death on the same
the pirate
day.
show. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, that being said, let's move on to our last segment and then get on out of here. So here we go. It's the Tuscan Raider, the part of the show where we rate each episode, and this week we're going to rate it out of 10 mines, 10 Imperial mines. How explosive was this episode? Let's start with Hugh. Out of 10 mines, what did you think this episode was?
I'm looking at a 9. This was a pretty good episode. I know Justin's probably not quite there. But the only thing I'd knock is things do progress a little bit kind of straightforward. Like, I don't know if we have enough of the mysteries that we had maybe back in Mando season 3. There are a lot of things up in the air, in my opinion. But I think every aspect of the story, every aspect of what we saw in this episode is pretty well done. So I'm going to go and give it the 9.
All right. Phil, what about you?
I'm gonna call it a solid 8. There were some aspects of the night troopers kind of behavior that they did just hesitate and let Ezra talk. was arguably the most Doctor Who moment that we've seen in the show so far. But it's like, okay, but you're Thrawn's troops, and I get that you're also probably on his whole track of like conserving resources, but you've got 2 targets and you've got like 24 of you, and you don't open fire. I following orders. I know, I get it. But it felt like a tactical blunder on their part.
Okay.
Now maybe that was just because they weren't, following direct orders from our buddy in blue. But other than that, I mean, it was still pretty solid. There were some decisions that were made. They're just kind of like, okay, I know you're not doing anything now because we're just trying to make sure that our characters survive until the next episode.
Sure.
But other than that, the whole riding battle, slow drive thing was kind of hilarious. Like, I think unintentionally so.
Yeah, I agree. That was pretty funny.
It was like,
but I liked
the
it.
Weirdest
I liked
version of a
scene.
Mad Max chase I've ever seen.
That's funny.
No, but overall, I think we got some good progress made in the story. We got to see a lot of really good stuff from Thrawn. We got to see more of Ezra. We got picked back up with some stuff back with the rest of the folks back in the main galaxy. Overall, good progress and a decent penultimate episode for the season. I know we're just kind of building up to the big finale at this point, but I think it was well done. Yeah.
All right.
Solid
Excellent.
8.
Justin, what are you rating this episode?
Well, I have to justify this first, so I'll go with
Here we go.
There's that boring ass court scene with barely any chopper in it. I mean, then we had to watch that lackluster chase scene. Just what Phil was commenting on. Too many turtle hobbits. Way too many turtle hobbits. Not enough magic. I give this episode a solid 8. No, I loved it. Of course, I was just poking fun at you. But yeah, it's everything that I mentioned, but the opposite. I loved the opening scene with Fiala or Ziona, or I'm always gonna fuck that one up. Ziono. Yeah,
Ziono. Yeah.
Ziono. God damn it. I loved the cheesy chase just because the turtle hobbits and their facial expressions and throwing little rocks and cans at them.
He walks on wheels.
I laughed so
he
hard.
Walks on wheels.
Oh, I like that.
I not gonna lie, I did love that we had Sabine's howler pop its head out of the back door of Ezra's truck there at the end.
Oh, that was a good one. But like everything to the little mini reunion of all 3 of the characters was awesome. To see Thrawn calculating in his mind and his head getting rejuvenated in his thought process was wonderful to see. Like I loved the episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode, and I know that you thought it was a meh, or maybe you're just fucking with me, but I think my favorite part about the Turtle Hobbit scene is when you see the Howler in with the Turtle Hobbit looking out the window. Like he's friends with them now. At first he was trying to eat them, and now he's like, yeah, we cool though. We cool. So I did like that. I agree with all of you guys, and of course, I'm a homer, so I give this episode an 8.5 for all the reasons that you said, and because I have to add a little bit more because screw you guys.
You just wanted to make the score 8.5.
I did, and the score is actually 83.75, so it's very close. I went through 3 different ratings just to throw Phil off because I know he was watching them. So I started at 8, and then I went to 7.5, but I really just landed on 8.5. So, yeah, that's it was a good episode. And
I mean, you're the one doing the math, not me. So,
and we haven't really rated anything lower than an 8 total this whole season. We're total homers when it comes to Star Wars. We need to start doing shows that like are actually meh.
Why would we do that? There's other podcasts that do that.
Right. I want to answer my journal. I can never remember your name, and I'm very sorry about that. But my journal had the question of hasn't anyone discussed how much Thrawn would screw up the storyline if he returned to the galaxy? The New Republic would be more cautious if Thrawn made his way back into the galaxy. I think we'll save that, and I actually took a screenshot of your question there and put it in my notes, and we're gonna save that for next week and bring that up on the show to see if that actually is something
Comes
that
to
happens.
pass. Right.
And then we can discuss that for sure. It's an excellent question, so stay tuned and join us next Thursday when we discuss it. But Hugh, thank you again so much for joining us today. Go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Just on X now. At by Hugh Johnson. Throw up the X. That's where you can find me, man. Always, guys, pleasure to be with you guys, and always love talking Star Wars with you fellas.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
dude! Thanks for being here. And yeah, he's my journal's one of the Red 5 network.
Nah, he's the guy. Roy. It's Roy.
Yeah.
Duh. I haven't seen you in a minute. I'm sorry. I haven't been playing Galaxy Heroes at all. I haven't even
He's
turned
a
it
bum.
on. And I can't. I need to start a whole new profile, and I just am dreading it.
That's a personal
So-
problem at this point.
Yeah, it is.
Ew.
But Phil, go ahead and you also tell everyone where they can find you.
On the website formerly known as Twitter, I am at FlipWriter there, and I am at FlipWriter on Blue Sky. You can also find me at swordsoftheancients.com. I've been throwing out a whole bunch of book reviews. We were talking about Chuck Wendig's Aftermath series earlier this episode, and Chuck actually has a new horror novel that just dropped on Tuesday called Black River Orchard. It is an apple-based, like the fruit, apple-based horror novel, and it is fucking spectacular. So my review for that's up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Justin, you want the people to know?
I mean, if they want to see my kid and my wife and me do festivals and stuff, you can follow me at JLou1742, but I'm not that exciting.
Hey,
I
you
don't do
went. You
anything.
You got up to Pirate Fest, right?
Oh yeah, well that's like a hop skipping away for me.
It's local, I know, but still, that's cool. I'm glad you got to go.
It was fun. Yeah, hell yeah, that was real fun.
Oh hell yeah! And of course, you can follow me anywhere at Quest Me Podcast. You can find me on Facebook. Just search for Quest Me Podcast. Actually, don't go to Facebook. I don't even want to talk about it. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are the best places to find me, and YouTube. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow us on YouTube at Quest Me, and you can see all the other videos and shorts that we put up there. We do have fun with those. I have a special announcement next week for my personal podcasting life and other things. So there's going to be some good announcements next week for not only Quest Me, but then maybe another podcast that I'm starting up. So definitely stay tuned for that. And we have an extremely fun guest coming on next week, but you're going to have to watch this ending video to know who it is. And if you're listening in podcast land, you're going to have to go to the YouTube video to watch the ending video to see who the special guest is, if you care that much.
Or just at me later and I'll tell you.
That you can do that too.
Who are you?
But thank you all again so much for being on the show, Justin, Phil, and Hugh. Obviously, we'll have you back again, Hugh, because it's always fun having you on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man.
Hugh.
Let's do a little bit of a sign-off. I'm going to go, me, then we'll go to Justin, Phil, and Hugh, and that'll be it. So, for Quest Me, I have been your host.
And I'm Justin.
I'm Phil.
I'm Hugh.
And, of course, my name is Josh. We will talk to you next week. May the Force be with you.
Deuce.